ID 是 CL Zoro，我是史莱史拳的一员，小鱼是他去年夺得的嘉年华的亚军，他平常帮助我做一些针对的练习，还有教我一些调整心态的方法。我第一个对手是 Nias， 其实我对他的了解就仅仅在于就是嘉年华预选赛他的那些表现之类，我击败他的信心还是很大。
Nias 他4天前刚刚有了个小孩，那你觉得你是不是要对他不要太狠？
首先我们要先恭喜Nias 当上爸爸，但是我是不会对他手软，因为我想让他回去照顾小孩。
Nias versus Zoro!
Hey everyone, I'm here with Nias, and Nias, we didn't get to do a little pre-video interview with you because you were actually home doing some very exciting stuff. Can you tell us about it?
Oh yeah, my daughter was born on Friday and it's had a really great couple days. It was a lot of fun and like nothing I've ever seen before.
Oh, congratulations to you. What is it like to have such an intense family experience and then come all the way out here and play competitive Hearthstone?
Well, it's certainly tough. It would have been nice to have more time, but I'm just grateful that I didn't have to drop everything and leave on Sunday because I don't think they allow car seats and taxi cabs.
No, they do not. So I actually have a question. You said you didn't have a lot of time, but you found time to apparently join a professional Hearthstone team.
Well, I'm teaming up with Hearthlytics, and it's more of a casual association. There's no hardcore commitment. I'm still unsure of whether I want to continue being a Hearthstone pro player, but it's great to be part of the team, and I look forward to working with them in the future.
All right. Well, I know you're excited to get in your matches. You flew all the way here just for this, so I'm going to hand it over to the casters, and let's kick things off.
Thank you, Rachel. So Nias just had a daughter 3 or 4 days ago here, and gets a few days to spend with her, and then he comes right back here to compete at the Hearthstone World Championship. Obviously had a very strong showing, kind of one of the unknown players in the Americas Championship, but really, took care of business there, had a very strong finish. Just crazy stuff that he just had a kid. What do you think is going through his head when he comes to this? Obviously, as one of the favorites from the Americas region, what goes through his head when he's coming here to try to play for the Hearthstone World Champion title?
Overall, I think getting the BlizzCon trophy for his daughter would be awesome. Would be the #1 priority. But otherwise, he just needs to focus on the Smash first, right? It's one match at a time. And if he gets to go to BlizzCon, all the more better. I'm sure his family will be cheering him on.
Yeah, $100,000 also buys a lot of things for them.
Lots of toys.
Nice toys for their baby.
I was going to say, I hear children are expensive. I don't know firsthand, but for Zoro, obviously totally different. He did not just have a daughter, so he's coming in here with a few different priorities. Obviously, he even charitably offered to send Nias back home to be with his daughter. So
yeah.
Zoro received very high praise from Tiddler Celestial, saying he was one of the best players in the region. So very high praise, obviously, given how good Tiddler Celestial is. But it looks like we're about ready to hop into our match.
Yeah, Tiddler Celestial, last year's runner-up, one of the most successful professional Hearthstone players, I would say. Over $100,000 in winnings, has done well every single tournament that he's played in. Has his own team, Team Celestial, and Zoro is going to be carrying the flag at this tournament.
And if he's going to be on the same team as Tiddler, his skill level is going to be at standard, right? So it's going to be interesting to see his games.
Yeah, Tiddler himself is in the house watching, and I'm sure that they practice together. I'm really excited to see what kind of strategy they came up with.
Right. Yeah, we see Nias actually decided to forego his customary handshake, which is the push-up challenge, which he issued to VLPS at the Americas Championship. So with Zoro, let's just focus on the card game, obviously. We look down at the classes, though. We see Nias brought Druid, Hunter, and Mage. Zoro brought Druid, Hunter, and Paladin. So we saw today was really the first time we've actually run into Seeker Paladin. Yesterday was all about the mid-range Paladin. So we do know that Zoro is running Seeker Paladin. Maybe this is kind of something that over in China it seems like a more solid pick.
Yeah, they do like creatures that swing a lot, and Mysterious Challenger is one of those cards that really swing the game, right? It'll be interesting to see if they put more swing cards like Harrison Jones, like Kazan Stick or something like that. And yeah, game 1 has started here.
Yep, and we see the Divine Favor in the deck and an Equality as well.
Yeah,
plenty.
so Divine Favor is a card where a lot of players now are kind of not even sure they want to run the one copy of it. But against Freeze Mage, you're going to get a ton of value off of that.
Yeah, I mean, I would just keep it if I was Zoro, but Zoro does not have the knowledge that Nias is playing this Freeze Mage, so we can't really blame him if he chooses to throw it back. But if he was to keep it, he can almost guarantee drawing 5 or maybe even 6 cards with it.
Exactly, and it seems like Nias is only going to keep his double 2-drops, so the mulligan is not really going to help Zoro determine too much. Because usually if you're Freeze Mage, you would, you know, mulligan all your hand, right? You're looking for very specific cards.
Yep, and it does throw away the Divine Favor. It's also a little bit safe that way, because I'm sure that if you're running 1 Divine Favor, you're probably running 2, and if he was to draw the 2nd Divine Favor, that would be horrible.
Right, we see Zoro's opening hand, not the greatest. Repentance is really not something you want to play early on, because that out of his hand, play something down, and maybe force Nias to play around whatever he thinks that secret might be.
Yeah,
but
that's
not going to get a ton of value probably.
back off listening absolutely nothing here. Well, I suppose if there's going to be, if he hero powers here and Nias is playing the Mad Scientist into it, then he gets a trade, but
Yeah.
not all that helpful.
Yeah,
It's not a
wouldn't be bad.
Right, it's not a total waste necessarily. And again, on Nias' side, given that Freeze Mage tends to be a little bit less creature-oriented, the secrets aren't necessarily something he's maybe considering as heavily. He probably just wants to dig more into his deck, find his win conditions, and kind of play to his own agenda. Because once, it's interesting to note, once Mysterious Challenger comes out as a 6-drop, Freeze Mage really has the option to start locking up that board for turns on end, so it's not necessarily as menacing to, you know, the Freeze Mage as it might be against other decks.
Exactly. And now that Zoro knows that, you know, it's pretty much going to be a Freeze Mage, he wished he had the Divine Favor.
Yeah, he might still draw into it though, there's plenty of time. Nias, very happy to see that Repentance there not getting all that much value. Something like Competitive Spirit would have put a lot more pressure on.
Yeah, we see here, oh, that's
wow.
Great draw.
Right.
That's exactly what you want to see. Secret Paladin is one of those decks where, obviously, by virtue of having so many secrets in there, it can be a little bit weaker, but cards like Piloted Shredder can, you know, help it maintain power on curve.
I have to point out that Zoro might still be thinking that the deck that Nias is playing is the Tempo Mage. It could possibly be, because that secret could be Mirror Entity right there. So the Shredder, even though when we look at this right now, it looks fairly obvious he needs to play the Shredder.
Right.
But for Zoro, well, now he's about to figure out what it is.
If he attacks with the Recruit first and finds the Ice Barrier, then he would know for sure. So the ordering does kind of matter a little bit here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and his other options are obviously very subpar at the moment. He doesn't really want to play down that Noble Sacrifice just yet. Coghammer on a 1/1 is very much not what you want.
Yeah, and he already has a weapon. Even though it's a weak one, it's only a 1 attack weapon. The difference between that and the Coghammer is very small. Whoa, this...
So you might as well fish for that information first.
Yeah, he's definitely...
Oh, he thinks it's actually a counterspell.
Oh no.
But now...
Well, the important thing here is he did figure out that it's, you know, it's barrier. Yep. So, and that's fine. You can play down that Shredder next turn.
That's true.
Yep.
But
he's just going to keep swinging face.
Yeah, the Shredder definitely would have been more pressure though. And
absolutely.
He chooses not to attack with the weapon. Oh, he used the previous weapon. So
Right.
that's fine, yeah.
Trying to get more value off of the, off the mace there.
Nias choosing to ping the face here because of the potential of an Avenge. He does not want to trigger the Avenge for now.
Right. So that's very heads-up play. Generally, when you're playing as a Freeze Mage, the HP above 15 isn't necessarily something you're super concerned about because you're planning to Alex for that win condition generally.
Yep.
But yeah, again, doesn't really want to mess around with Avenge, give the Paladin more power. And you don't want to just pass. What if you never find that Alex Strauza? So it's worth just pinging the face.
Yeah, I guess the other option was to ping off the Divine Shield.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been
yeah, it's an interesting point.
But it's a close call. You can't blame him for pinging face there.
Now, Zoro's turn 6 and 7 at the moment kind of right themselves.
Yeah. There's 2 Ice Lances which are really, really helpful if there's 0 mana. If you draw the Antonidas, then, you know, it's pretty good. But maybe...
Going to coin out the Emperor Thorison here, hoping that there's no Repentance. And,
I think it is worth noting, making the Ice Lance free is probably at least something that's worth considering.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of the other things, yeah, he's got 2 free Ice Lances now. If you find something like Antonidas, those are just free fireballs at this point. He has a cheaper fireball. And I mean, it never hurts, and I don't really think he had a very solid play otherwise.
Whoa.
That's true.
Armorsmith.
Armorsmith is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite good against
Yeah.
the freeze mage.
Yeah.
It's actually amazing. Not potentially the best one he could have hoped for.
So for players who are maybe not familiar with how Freeze Mage works, one of the biggest ways you can counter Freeze Mage is to develop a whole bunch of armor. Generally, in warrior-heavy metas, you don't tend to see very many Freeze Mages because that armor can just shut them out of the game because they have usually a finite amount of damage, Archmage and Tonights notwithstanding. So yeah, if he can get a lot of armor off of that Armorsmith,
Yeah.
he could put himself out of range.
Yeah, it seems like he is too.
Considering-
He's gonna stick around.
Considering Zoro's hand, playing the very obvious mysterious challenger here, not the greatest value ever, as he already had 2 secrets out, so only pulled 2 extra, but still a nice additional pressure.
Right, and have to believe counter or competitive spirit is one of those secrets.
Oh yeah.
So that'll make that board a little bit more menacing. And we're at the point though where Nias has those free spells. He can start putting on the brakes for the next few turns and kind of like fishing around for those cards he wants. We see he also has Pyroblast. I don't feel like most freeze mages are running the 1 copy of Pyroblast anymore,
Right.
but I've seen so far anyway.
For example, like Purple is running 2 anti-heal bots instead
Right.
for a more anti-aggro kind of build up.
But this will give Nias a lot of damage, which will make the couple of armor points that Zoro gets off the Armorsmith maybe not necessarily as impactful, because just a ton of damage.
What do you guys think of the first Nova here?
Oh, he's just gonna kill off the armor.
Oh, he really wanted to
Yeah.
put the armor, so that's why. But it's going to come back. But he will be able to bring it afterwards, so no big deal.
If he can make the turn timer, that is. Maybe he ran out of
Well,
time.
the hero power was flipped
Oh, he got
over,
it.
so
Oh,
yeah.
he got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, he got hit on the divine shield instead. Okay.
It might have been one of those things where the timer was winding down and he had to just use it.
Yeah, I think that
Right.
might be the case, because being the Armorsmith would have maybe in
Oh,
some ways made more
so-
sense there.
Right. But the
Yeah,
boom
you
is
probably just
definitely
played
gonna
out the
come.
boom.
Yeah, it's so much pressure.
Oh wow, and now Nias really looking for that Doomsayer.
Yeah, the Blizzard will kind of staunch the bleeding here, although he's going to get a ton of armor if the
6
Blizzard comes
armor,
down.
because he missed the ping on the Armorsmith last, and that's coming back to haunt him now.
Yeah, that's it's an unfortunate situation for him. Still, he's really a few cards away from clearing. You know, that said, Secret Paladin, one of the biggest problems with the deck to a lot of players aren't very impactful. You have some kind of mid-range minions, but already seeing Dr. Boom, the only
Enough to just spend his ice lances to clear the board.
This is also good though because, and maybe he's doing this intentionally, he's playing around Divine Favor.
Sure.
Consecrate. It looks so silly, but with the Divine Favor, he might just go for it. But on the other hand, if he Divine Favors here, he will still have 4 mana available to potentially play on something like another Shredder.
I think that
Something-
depends
sorry.
on.
I saw one in his mulligan, his opening hand before that, so it's a close call if whether or not
Right.
to consecrate first. I think he might choose either way around.
Because the thing is, like, if your opponent plays like a
me think.
Antonitis and then Frostbolt or something, you have no answer to deal with that. So
Right. The equality, he will be able to do that. And another thing about this is that he has the redemption up, so if
Oh, there's the equality.
wow. So with the redemption, he maybe didn't want to hero power anyway. He did pick up the Shredder, so
As a Paladin player that I think you make, and this is just from a background in playing more mid-range, is that Paladin has very few sources of direct damage from the hand, and when you're having to deal with the extra 8 armor from the secret, but as a Paladin, you have to make that's a very far-reaching decision, and he had to kind of decide right then and there if he wanted the
Yeah.
cards. And you know, this is probably the smallest amount of cards you really see a Secret Paladin get off of a Freeze Mage.
oh
Right.
yeah, probably. That was not. I mean, even though it was very effective there, drawing those cards, it like you mentioned, it wasn't like the greatest one ever. Zoro picking up.
Flame
very
Strike.
respectful. Yeah.
I think he might have.
Respectable.
Respectable stat line.
Respectable.
Yeah, respectable. He
Respectable.
might have like another competitive spirit, right? But that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this goes back to earlier we were kind of discussing much kind of in flux these days. It hasn't reached a refined point like some lists have.
I think it's pretty cool that it kind of keeps the players guessing. And
Yep.
you don't know that After a long period of time, maybe in 6 months, it's going to be more or less standard to have X amount of secrets. But for
So, equality coming out there. Let's kind of look at what he had. He could have technically traded the 6-1 into the Acolyte of Pain to ensure one draw. You don't want to do that. You want to be doing damage. He didn't have another clear way to get rid of that Acolyte of Pain. And the only other thing you really think about with equality is like Archmage Antonidas. But he made the decision that he wants to push damage now, and I really like it. I really like it. It's an aggressive play.
There are so many benefits to using equality there. You can get to deny a card. You also get to make an extra body to avenge the avenge procs. So that was a really good move.
Yeah, he's in a really good position right now. He's got that 9-8. He's kind of knocking on the door here. It's going to be for Nias to not necessarily just keep playing secrets and stalling it, but to try to find a way to turn it. Because he doesn't, I mean, he has the ice block, which he can play with Antonidas, but obviously not next turn because it won't have popped yet.
Yeah, Nias really looking for something like the last Frost moment. That would
Doomsayer, but
no freeze
no
to go with it.
Yeah.
So maybe you need.
You guys, okay, don't laugh at this. What do you guys think of Pyroclasting, the mysterious challenger? I'm not kidding.
I don't think that's bad.
I think that's be a legit play.
It's just because you told me not to laugh. I had to laugh.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
I see.
I think.
Does it heal the challenger?
Wow. What a jerk.
Very, very good minions against Freeze Mage.
Yeah, and they really shore up kind of what is traditionally the more aggressive Paladin variant's weakness. No lay on hands, no way to generate extra health. You don't tend to see NT Killbot, so good thinking. Tyson's doesn't like well.
Good pilots for this
That's why
matchup.
you run Pilot Shredder, because you're playing.
So, again, Zoro's board position really good here.
Comes down, then he's in for a little trouble. So he just clears it, maintains board pressure, and pops the block next turn.
Yeah, that's very reasonable because, as I mentioned earlier,
Okay, fine.
Oh, you can
Okay.
fireball. Maybe that's more
how do you feel
efficient.
about a fireball and a ping?
.32 HP and has a light well. So I don't think the Pyroblast is a win condition in this case. It's such a rare situation.
But you just can't forgive yourself if you ever get the Pyroblast.
Wow.
Maybe Pyroblast on the Mysterious.
15 mana Pyroblast.
Oh.
I mean, the good news for Nias is the block didn't get popped, I guess.
Yes.
Sure.
So if he gets an Alex Ross from the top, he could still turn this around.
Okay, this is... But because of the Lotheb, yeah, can't actually cast the Frostbolt. Because, I mean, assuming Lotheb wasn't there, assuming that was just like a, I don't know, like a Stranglethorn Tiger that wasn't stealth,
Okay.
you could freeze that, you could start generating fireballs and hope that that Archmage lives, and you just keep chaining fireballs.
And it does seem like the Archmage is going to live if that was the case, but
Right.
no, it's a Lotheb.
This is a slightly different case, and if Nias plays it down, he understands that he's going to lose that Archmage. And at that point, what does your win condition actually become?
Alex
Alexstrasza,
go
yeah.
face 4 times.
5 times. There's
5
37
times.
health.
You're correct.
Yeah.
So with this, Nias can pop the block and still get rid of the Archmage, so...
Yep.
Dark times for the Freeze Mage player.
Absolutely. That Alex Strasser almost feels like it's going to come down to whether or not he draws it if he wants to win this.
So, Speech, based on your knowledge of competitive Hearthstone, when you bring Freeze Mage, what are you actually targeting? What are you looking? Is it just purely aggressive decks?
Well, I like playing against aggressive decks a lot as a Freeze Mage. It's some of the best ones, but any deck that works in a way where they first have to put minions on the board, like for example mid-range Paladin, that's also a good matchup. But decks that deal damage from the hand, for example, even a Rogue with the Oil Flurry and all that kind of stuff can be kind of tricky. Rogue's not the worst matchup, but Druid deals 14 from the hand, even more if there's minions on the board already. Decks that put minions on the board first are the difficult ones.
We saw Nias there
easy.
actually pretty much got exactly what he needed to stay in this game, which was that Blizzard.
Yeah.
And he put in the block.
And this block is not going to get popped either.
Zoro is
Wow.
kind of out of resources at this point.
He is, but there are still true silver champions remaining, I'm sure.
The original Noble Sacrifice is still up, so Zoro
Yeah.
can't actually play.
Less of a deck than the Freeze Mage?
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
that's
do you
incredible.
Frostbolt? Yeah, you just can't let that block get popped.
As amazing as it is, Nias is still in this. He could draw that Alex Strauss at any moment.
Wow, he even plays down the Doomsayer.
The Doomsayer kills the light well, right?
Would have been good
Yeah.
to be able to pop that ice block.
And he can't even play the Noble Sacrifice because there's already one up.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing he can do this time, just bad.
This is very suddenly turned into a slap fight now, where it's everyone's kind of like looking
Okay.
for that one thing. Alex Strauss would be great.
That's
Mage
not the right
Thanos
legendary.
helps you find Alex Strauss though.
But it also helps
Yeah.
you get to fatigue for sooner. It's 7 cards right now for the Freeze Mage. And for the Paladin, it's 5
Oh,
cards.
there's- okay, there's
There's
Alex.
the Alex.
Okay.
To pop the block now. But Nias has the Alex Strauss already
Right.
waiting.
Yes, Alex Strauss.
But now the thing is, if Zoro kills the Alex Strauss, that's game.
Yeah.
Because there's no more threats for Nias, and there's 30.
Second Noble Sacrifice.
Anti-kill.
anti-kill bot. Wow.
Yeah, you definitely go Alex Strauss first now.
A draw.
Whoa.
He's gonna have to put his faith in the light.
Yeah, that's that's quite a reliable place for it.
Wow, what a grind
That's a good
fest.
place to put your faith.
Yeah.
Among other options.
Yeah.
So Nias continues to be, I mean, it's important to
It's important to
it's important to but, you know, obviously Freeze Mage doesn't run Polymorph.
Card.
Right, if you're expecting a lot of Tyrion forgerings.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think Nias imagined this game to go this way, right? Usually,
No.
Freeze Mage does kill Paladin quite easily with the right draws, but there were just too many secrets in Nias' hand at the beginning.
Went so long.
I remember way back in the day, I was watching actually Reels prior to him joining the Hearthstone team.
Sure.
He was streaming and he was playing Freeze Mage and just to deal with the board. And you know, you try to put in a lot of stuff that cycles, a lot of card draw, but yeah, if you don't get it when you need it, it can be very difficult, especially like against a deck like Secret Paladin, which just piles on the pressure.
Absolutely.
The mid-range threats are
Let
brutal.
me think.
Does remind me of the old Patron deck, right? The cards need to come in the right order. Or maybe even the new one.
I mean, that's the nature of combo decks in general, though, which, I mean,
Right.
Freeze Mage at the end is all about comboing those spells down. So it can be a... Ooh.
And start-
Oh,
that's
man.
I was-
Second Arcane into it.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and pass it up. He has to have it.
No,
But, like,
it's
we just hadn't seen it.
tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a mage, you gotta be able to go through your deck fast, and even though it only draws 2 cards, it's also like kind of 1 card out of the deck, so it's kind of 3 in 1, so it thins the deck quite efficiently, allowing you to draw into your Alex Strauss faster.
Right. Freeze Mage kind of having a rough day so far. You know,
Right.
kind of running into these decks that just put out a lot of pressure, and it's not just like Zoo or something where you can just lock it down, or even that. Apparently pretty good against Freeze Mage.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the problems now for Nias is that his Freeze Mages still have to get a win, right? And it's against Druid and Hunter, 2 very, very hard matchups.
Yeah, it's going to only get harder from here. That was the best matchup he had for the Freeze Mage. It's not impossible against the Hunter, for example. It's not too bad of a matchup, but it's going to be an uphill battle for sure.
Right, and so for Zoro, this is, you know, he comes in, he plays against one of the best from the Americas region, and, you know, 1-0 in this series. And we actually had a chance to sit down and talk to him about the origin of the gamer tag Zoro.
周柔这个是日本的一个动漫的一个人物他就是有一种坚韧，遇到困难永不放弃的一个精神，所以说我很喜欢这个人物。如果我夺得了这次嘉年华的冠军，拿到这笔奖金，我会去买一下就是我的来源的周柔这个动漫人物，买一下他的衣服啊、刀啊，来武装一下自己。
Right, so big anime fan, big fan of One Piece, and big fan of dressing up as anime characters. So I gotta say, I respect him as a fellow role player. I'm always down for some role play.
I guess the costume costs a lot of money.
He's like, there's only one way I can get it, and that's if I win BlizzCon. So yeah, I gotta wonder how expensive that costume is. To approach the series.
Yep.
Freeze Mage is gonna have to get that win at some point if he wants to advance from the series.
Yep. Both players with hunters, and it could be any kind of hunters.
That's true.
It's impossible to know if they're playing face or mid-range. I don't know what decks these players in particular prefer.
Right, we've seen face kind of become a lot more popular since the Warsong Commander change because it doesn't necessarily expect to run into these really anti-aggro decks, although a lot of players have brought some.
Yeah, and I mean, lots of one-health creatures are really weak to Warrior with Despite and stuff like that. So, and now that Patron has fallen out of favor a little bit.
Don't tell Europe that.
Right, but generally we do see a decline of Warriors. So yeah, Face Hunter will be really good. But here we're gonna see a Druid Mirror instead.
All right.
So yeah, Druid Mirror. What do you think? And it's obviously a pretty straightforward answer here, but Amaz, what do you think is the most important aspect of the Druid Mirror?
Oh, the most important aspect is starting with Innervate.
Yeah.
Because it is actually better than Wild Growth when you have a minion hitting their face constantly, as opposed to waiting to get a bigger minion on the board. So usually the first person to play something on the board is like a big favorite. The other person has to react to it, and then because Druids can only either play minions or play spells, it just, you know, you keep on stomping with pressure.
Does Living Roots count?
2/1/1s is 2 damage.
I mean, that's mana that has to be put into clearing those, unless you're looking to get off the tail end of the swipe.
Exactly.
And speaking of Living Roots here, this is one of those cards where some Druid players will include one of to deal with aggro, which again, you kind of expected to see at this turn. We see Zoro investing to deal with it. Zoro's hand also kind of has the the Hunters, the Control Warrior. Harrison Jones obviously has a lot of value, and I think is one of the most comfortable tech cards in Druid.
I'm a tiny bit surprised to see the hero power from Zoro on turn 2 because of just based on how his hand looks like. He had no play for turn 3 at all. Directly a mistake to keep it, but another just hero power from Zoro.
Yeah, that card did some work for Nias, and Nias playing Druid of the Saber. So that's a card we don't see a ton of. Savitz.
Those powerful minions too, and this almost certainly going to be that Emperor Torison to remove. Almost a double rot is required, and the silence on it, well, it's still a 5/5.
I guess the only saving grace for Zoro here, looking at the Emperor, is that it only reduces 2 cards effectively. Innervate doesn't get like -1 cheaper.
Oh yeah, that is true.
But definitely still a very, very bad position. I mean, if I'm Zoro at this point, I would just, ping down to 3/2. Because, cards are already reduced anyways. Your opponent should be playing more cards next turn. So, might as well just, leave it. But this is actually going to get rewarded because his next turn is going to be Innervate Ancient of Lore.
Wow.
So he would have got more cards to get discounted.
Yeah, the value from the Emperor on this turn would have been even more than on the previous one.
And I like the turn from Zoro. I mean, he gets rid of the Emperor Thorson. He puts a 2/4 on the board when you're just staring down a 3/2. Nias, he's going to make Zoro do the trade. He's just going to put in 3 damage. And getting the damage in this mirror match is very important. And it's a little bit deceptive because obviously you're trying to get them to that certain threshold where you can just combo them down, not even necessarily with Force of Nature and Savage Roar, but just Savage Roar and like 2 or 3 minions on the board. So getting in that chip damage early on feels really important.
Right, exactly. When you're like sub 15 or sub 14 even, you're always afraid of dying. So that you always have to be pressured to clear the board.
Yeah, we see Zoro's already down to 17 health.
Right.
With a 5/5 on board, to which Zoro has no answer at the moment.
This mirror match is kind of like starting the game at 16 health each, right?
Kind of.
If you get that 16 damage, I guess you, in a very, very good spot.
Things are looking already 12 with just the Ancient of Lore on the board and has the combo ready and waiting. He will need some more mana, and there will be no more Wild Growths, but
mana ramp card we're seeing in this mirror. So no Wild Growths prior to this. No Darnassus Hasbro. It's a very honest game aside, from Innervate, which is a yeah. So if you're Zoro here, how do you
better.
You always look at the Shredder. I agree. So I would just
Roar hero
Savage
power.
Roar back kill the Shredder. Hope for a birthday party.
I
you
mean,
know?
what else can he
There's
do?
a birthday party in that shredder?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because if he
Happy birthday.
like just removing the Ancient of Lore, the
Once like every 255 days. This might be the day.
yeah.
But it's looking
I mean,
pretty hard.
He could Ancient of Lore to heal for 5.
But then
which
it's just
doesn't. Again, yeah, it's fine.
has
I mean, he could still innervate.
He could
so
innervate the hero
he
for, yeah.
basically heals for nothing.
Okay.
But he gets to put a 5/5 on the board and get rid of the damaged Ancient of Lore. I mean, suboptimal plays all around.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Alright,
true.
oh, is he doing it?
He's gonna draw cards
Oh,
and look
he
for the
does, right.
Wrath maybe? And
Nope.
no, it doesn't
And
get
that should be it with 6 power on the board and an additional 7 from either the Roar or the Nature. He can, Nias can just pick the card that he wants.
it. Right.
He's going to tie things up.
This would be exactly lethal.
Yeah, so Nias is going to type the series. Oh, he could have even had the Living Roots damage for 2 if he wanted. He was running 2 copies, which is interesting. But
Yeah,
he's going to type the series 1-1 off the back of the Druid Mirror. Very swingy matchup. And yeah, well played by him.
Interesting cool Druid list from Nias. He wasn't playing the aggro version, but he was still running double Living Roots and the Druid of the Saber.
Does respect a lot of aggro decks coming
yeah.
in here, yeah.
Living Roots, one of the best things you can do against something like a Hunter early on.
Right, especially against their 1 health minions, it does clear 2 things, whereas
Absolutely.
a Wrath actually only clears 1.
Yeah, against some control decks it can be a problem to have that. Top decking it on turn 8 feels pretty bad.
Well,
but
yeah.
against Paladin, against Face Hunter, in those matchups it can absolutely win the game.
We saw even at the Americas Championship, Nias is one of those players who doesn't necessarily just subscribe to the idea that you find a list on, like Hearthstone or something and just like plug it in and play it. He likes to tinker around. He was running a Refreshment Vendor in his handlock deck, and he kind of enjoys these not, I would say, like different or unique cards, just ones that aren't necessarily being run or thought of as, particularly powerful in any given deck. So obviously it panned out for him, and those Living Roots early on really gave him command of the board and allowed him to build.
Yeah, it didn't deal that much damage, but that 4 mana that was spent on just clearing those, it's definitely meaningful. He out-tempoed his opponent big time in that game.
Right, and I think I will say though that now that other players watching the stream have had the opportunity to see that he has 2 Living Roots, and he also has the Druid of the Saber, it's kind of one of those things where it'll be interesting to see if in the long haul that's a better overall choice for his deck, or if he was going for more kind of an element of surprise thing against, as you guys pointed out, more of the aggressive decks he's planning on running into here.
Yep, it's interesting to see if the remaining lineup from Nias is also targeted at more aggressive decks, if he has made similar choices to maybe try 3-0 somebody's Space Hunter.
Well, speaking of aggressive decks, Nias is actually going to bring out his Hunter, which looks at the moment to be more of the mid-range variant.
Right.
Could be hybrid.
Yeah, is the big clue. And right now Nias has to decide whether he wants to go for a coin Animal Companion into Animal Companion, and he decides to keep only 1s to, maybe try Mad Sciences or 2 drops, something like that.
Yeah, with the coin, quite often you wanna maybe coin out a 2-drop and follow it up with another 2-drop. We see an Arcane Golem, so Nias probably going for a more hybrid approach.
Oh, wow.
In mid-range Hunter, that's not a card you commonly see.
There is, as a Hunter player, there's just no scarier turn than coining out the Knife Juggler when you're playing against a Druid, because you're just begging for the Keeper of the Grove.
And there you go. They get it very, very often, right? It's a 2-card combo. Very early on, too.
Well, there's always this working theory that like every Warrior hand came standard with a Fiery War Axe. As a Hunter player, I'm positive that every single Druid hand comes with Innervate Keeper of the Grove.
Quite powerful indeed. Plays the Mad Scientist, probably going to be a freezing trap, but it could be something else too. That Arcane Golem is...
I wouldn't be surprised with Nias if it's something like Bear Trap, possibly Snake Trap.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is Bear Trap is great because it offers tempo.
Sure.
If the last thing your opponent does on the turn is like swing into the face, and the Bear Trap pops, you start the next turn with a 3/3 Beast, which obviously enables kill command. If there's Houndmaster, you can just go ahead and buff it up. Nisha, not great here because of the tempo big game Hunter play from Zoro, which is very heads up,
Right.
as opposed to even mess with the traps.
But now it's really interesting, right? Do you attack with the BGH first,
Right.
because it might be a freezing trap, or do you have to keep it grow first? If it's a snake trap, you just killed your own 2/2.
Yeah, I could see it go either way. The problem here is that he can't really play any minion from his hand. He only has those 2 spells available to him, and swipe on just that bear, it doesn't feel all that great.
This is truly one of those times where you never feel good about the play you make until it works out, and then you're like, I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. All right, let's see. Yeah, okay, so it is just a freezing trap.
Yep, so now he's pretty much forced to use the swipe.
Yeah.
valuing the BGH as a turn 5 play perhaps if he doesn't draw it, or maybe against Dr. Boom. for
Yeah, that's
example.
actually not too bad. I mean, it's not the 5-drop you wanna play, it's not the turn 5 you want, but he had no other turn 5.
Right. We see both copies of Unleash the Hounds in Nias' hand, and against Druid, you don't necessarily tend to get huge Unleash the Hounds turns. It's usually something like 1 to 3 Hounds,
Oh yeah.
which doesn't feel as good. So yeah, he ended up, or Zoro, as you guys pointed out, goes for that the second time around tempo big game hunter.
Wow, that's
Two
a
pair. That's
lot of damage.
Nias is looking all right on the board, but those double locking columns not exactly what he was hoping to get right now. But he's probably, if there's situations down the road where he has options to either go for a clear or go for face, with this hand, he's certainly going to favor going for face.
This is, yeah, Sylvanas is going to come down. That feels like a pretty easy read. That's just going to complicate things for Nias even more.
Yep.
It's all because of that Innervate Keeper of the Grove.
Right.
That starts it. Once Hunter kind of gets pushed off the board and has to try to battle for it against the Druid, the quality of the Druid minions is usually just higher until you get to something like Savannah Highmane.
Yeah, the Keeper of the Grove just trades for so much. It killed the Knife Juggler, it traded for Mad Scientist, and now it's still a 2-2.
Oh, so he's going to see if he can, yep.
Oh, this is awesome. Just going
for the face.
Well, look at his hand.
I like it.
Yeah.
2 Arcane Golems and a quick shot. You got to know when to go.
And I do like the kill command there because you want the quick shot to, cycle for something. Usually, you want a hero power, right? Hero power and using the kill command is kind of like the same damage. You're doing 3 damage with the kill command plus a 2 from the beast where you could have got with your hero power anyways.
I mean, for a second there, I thought he was just going to play the Hounds and then kill command the Sylvanas to try to trade for one of the Hounds.
Okay.
But if Zoro had gotten the Shredder, it's kind of basically over from there.
That's true.
And even the Hounds, because it has charge, doesn't feel... Well, I guess charge doesn't factor in, but it's still a 1-1.
At the end of the day, face damage is very relevant, so might as well hit the face.
Yeah, especially with 2 Arcane Columns in his hand.
We see here, I think Zoro might actually just be threatening lethal.
Yeah, this is a lot of damage with Savage Roar.
Savage Roar.
Savage Roar deals 8 damage.
Should do it if Nias doesn't get more stuff cleared off the board. He can go for the Juggler and potentially hit a juggle on the Keeper of the Grove.
Important to note, if he Arcane Golems, he actually puts Zoro on the combo.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
That's
You can't really go
Nice is kind of on an escalator to nowhere right now, playing against a Druid who has 2 Force of Natures and a Savage Roar in hand. Alright, so he's going to quick shot here. If he plays the Arcane Golem,
Yeah, he's gonna lose the game.
it will be dead.
Oh! That is great.
That was perfect.
Right now.
That is outstanding for him. Ooh, second Keeper. Knife Juggler on board, second Keeper of the Grove.
Wow.
What is this agenda against Knife Jugglers?
I think we should be asking you this question.
I know nothing. My hands are clean here. I'm a Hunter player.
Okay.
Same similar situation, like when I play a Dr. Boo, my opponent always gets the big damn hunter.
And
So-
Boombots always kill Azure Drake.
Yes.
There's a lot of patterns we're seeing.
I don't know what you're accusing me of.
I don't know.
I'm a... Oh, is this it?
no,
Is
it's
this- no,
not.
it's 1 man off.
1 mana off.
Oh, no.
That's just too bad.
So close, but so far.
And
And
Nias has played this so well. Ugh.
He needs to Arcane Golem both creatures to stay alive.
There's no way he can do that play. He's never going to win the game.
This goes back to playing to win.
Yeah.
Right?
I
Not to
mean,
lose.
You can't
Not to not
do
lose.
that move.
Yeah.
I mean, we can see that that would be the only play to keep him in the game, but if you Nias, like,
Oof.
no, it's not happening.
Might as well play 1 Arcane Golem. Keep the
Yeah.
second one for the abusive to proc it. And hope for the best, right?
Yeah.
Hope for the best.
Get in there and fight!
Gets the 6 damage to face, leaving Zoro down to 4, but 4 is enough. Force of Nature, Savage Roar, more than enough to end it.
Zoro spots it very quickly. Obviously, he's had those cards in hand for a while now, so Zoro's going to take a lead in the series 2-1. Nice, very polite. Very, very nice guy in general, so obviously out the well played.
Yep, we don't see much emotes in these matches usually, but
No!
well played then.
Yeah, I was talking to Hot Form beforehand. He promised me there was going to be a lot of apologizing, and I don't feel like I saw enough apologizing at Hot Form, so very disappointed. But
I guess he didn't have anything to apologize for.
yeah, he's like, I've done nothing wrong. But yeah, we do see the well playeds come out. 2 players who obviously have a lot of respect for each other. And yeah, Zoro's going to go up 2-1 and just has to get that win on his Hunter now.
Yep, only Hunter left and Nias with Hunter and the Mage.
Yep.
And the Mage was the Freeze
It's a
Mage,
freeze
so,
mage
so
too.
that might be alright against the Hunter.
Yeah.
It depends what sort of Hunter Zoro is running. If it's a face hunter, the freeze is definitely stronger than against the mid-range.
We did see, to be fair, the face hunter earlier beat out the freeze mage. It's definitely
That is true.
It's definitely possible based on how quickly the face hunter does damage.
Yeah, but the problem is that like the reason why freeze mage is usually favored against the face hunter is that the face hunter has very limited amount of damage, and quite often if there's an ice barrier or maybe even two, it's impossible for the hunter to have enough damage to end the game early.
Yeah, it seems like that the face hunter does need to end the game before Alexstrasza and before those, you know, heal bots come into play.
Right.
So yeah, it really depends on timing of stuff.
That said, what it does have in its favor is the fact that a lot of its minions have charge. So the whole freeze mage agenda of slowing down the board and just stopping minions from attacking, not usually as effective. That said, they do have some minions, you know, Mad Scientist, Worgen Infiltrators, kind of these minions that can be slowed down or just straight up killed by, you know, spells like Blizzard. Or I've seen freeze mages before just play down a Doomsayer on an empty board. Just basically like, please don't play any minions. But we are going to see here the Hunter into the freeze mage.
Yep.
So
based on Zoro's starting hand, we can't quite tell just yet which version it is.
Yeah, there are some mid-range hunters who run abusive sergeants, but now
wow, Clockwork Gnome.
More one-drops. This is what we're leaning towards in this BlizzCon World Championship opening week.
He's got a very good opening hand too. You can just straight up coin out the Worgen Infiltrator Clockwork Gnome.
Yeah. Double one-drops trap. Dream.
Not something you want to see against a freeze mage, as the freeze mage usually is not attacking into your face until late in the game with spells. But otherwise,
please be lock and load. Please be lock and load.
Right.
Well, it's unlikely. Lock and load would go well with those spare parts. I had some fun with that type of deck, but it's not for this type of
Ooh,
stage.
and then yeah, silence the Mad Scientist there.
Yep.
I continue to be super impressed with the players from China and the Asia Pacific region who are bringing all these unique techs into the pre-existing decks. And you know, you talk to him after. I talked to Pipping Ho last night after the match, and he was explaining that, you know, with mid-range Hunter and Fel Reaver, he was just like, yeah, Fel Reaver does a lot of damage. As a Hunter, you want to do a lot of damage. Makes sense.
It is the 5-drop minion that has the most stats.
Right. And you know, we're seeing players not afraid to kind of mix up what the established variants are, you know, especially in the Western scene. So.
Speaking of which, this Clockwork Gnome might just get a reversing switch and kill a Doomsayer off.
Wow, that happens 1 out of 7 times.
More than you think.
Yeah, that's very relevant actually in this matchup, because Doomsayer is one of those cards that you really need to kind of hold the line for you while you get to those anti-kill bots, get to those Alexstrazzas. We do see Nias has a fair amount of healing in hand, assuming he can get to turn 9, which, as you pointed out, usually if the freeze mage can get to turn 9 and get that Alexstrasza off, that's kind of the end of the game for the face hunter.
It is, it really is, and there's a heal bot, so with that heal bot and the ice block, the chances for Nias to make it to turn 9 are quite good at this point. A little bit surprised Zoro didn't go for the animal companion there. It's a tiny bit awkward with the mana for now. He wouldn't play the animal companion and hero power or the juggler. He could play the juggler and just hero power.
Right, and this is a turn where, as the face hunter, you usually want to try to weave in your hero power as much as possible and be as mana efficient as you can. So while Animal Companion could produce, will produce Huffer, maybe this time you just play the Knife Juggler and your hero power, which is what Zoro opts to do.
Another interesting thing is, if you have 4 minions on the board and you get a Leok, the Leok is basically a Huffer, right? It deals 4 damage.
Without the cool Huffer noise.
Well, the cool Leok noise. No?
Cool Leok noise.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
But we can just agree that Misha is, you know, a face hunter's worst.
Is it happening? Is it happening?
Oh.
No.
That would have been really good.
Yeah.
Ooh, and so, okay, what would he have to... If he gets anything but Misha, he can technically clear, I believe.
That's true. Even if he gets Misha, he could clear with 2 juggles.
All right, so long as the card doesn't give him Misha.
But Misha is fine too. If he just needs 2 juggles.
Leok.
But no, it's fine. We got it.
We heard the cool Leok noise, Amaz.
Wow! He just went all face.
He doesn't have time to trade.
No trading, man.
But Nias with that heal but ready and waiting is not too worried about that.
Yeah, I don't blame Zoro for that line of play. It makes sense for what he's trying to do.
Okay, go face.
Kind of has to take some chances.
And here's the problem of Explosive Trap, is that it stops your quick shot from drawing a card.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that Finnegan Cloak feels not exactly what you want.
Because you can't actually stealth the Worgen just yet, so. This is going to be awesome. Basically, he attacks with the Worgen, then re-stealths it. No.
But you can't stealth a stealth creature?
No. I don't think you can. It wasn't lit up that I saw.
Oh, maybe you just play it too fast and end the turn.
This is a Jeoparino question.
This is, yeah. I'm actually not sure now that you mentioned it. I think you still can.
All right, I'm gonna say you can. We'll see if it's lit up. We'll see if it's lit up.
I think you can.
No, I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
I get a totem point.
You get a totem point. We'll give you an honorary totem point. So now you, myself, and Crip are tied.
All right.
Still 2 more days.
Oh, there's so much damage. With a quick shot, he can actually push Nias down to 2 HP right now, which would leave him dead to the explosive trap.
Yeah. Hey, you never know. Nias might mess up and go like, I will proc this freezing trap first with my anti-kill bot, and then I'm dead.
I've seen 2 Worgen infiltrators. I will proc this freezing trap.
Yeah.
What doesn't sound right about that sentence? Yeah.
Well, as low as Nias is right now, he does have that ice block in his hand, and for next turn the Alexstrasza is there. So as long as he doesn't attack face this turn, he should be doing quite alright.
Right.
He's thinking about what he wants to do. Obviously, the ice block has to come down.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
And he's honestly sitting pretty. He has Alexstrasza next turn. He's got, you know, some he's got some aha going. So
A lot of them actually.
Yep.
Yep.
Cranks up the pressure here.
Because he obviously, since he's Alexstraszaing himself, he just needs to start pushing that damage. So, and obviously Zoro has no answer to that.
Nope.
Aha. Aha.
Let's see, that better be a good one. Guess on Mystic would have been quite
Flare
a
would have been
Flare,
good.
yes, Flare actually could have been. It's possible Zoro is running a Flare.
I was gonna say, obviously we've talked about the fact that they love those tech cards.
Yeah.
So Flare is definitely a tech card. So
Yep.
Maybe it just didn't draw it. Maybe it's in the deck.
very well could be. You know, we've seen crazier stuff over the course of the first 2 days of the Hearthstone World Championship.
I mean, we saw Clockwork Gnome. Anything could be in the deck.
Clockwork Gnome's crazy. Yeah. I actually I often wonder why players don't run it, because I feel like it's very solid in the Face Hunter list. And, you know, you can get stuff like the +1 attack.
Sure. I guess the main drawback is that it does give you a card, thereby making Quick Shot a little bit worse,
Fair.
perhaps.
All right, so for Zoro, he's in a very bad place right now. I'm pretty sure he's actually just dead next turn if he doesn't somehow find a way to clear the board.
15 damage in the hand, both Antonidas and the Alexstrasza connecting the face. That's an additional 13, so 27 damage.
Look at I am 2 for 2 on math today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks. I went home last night, looked at some books, learned some math, feel ready to cast today. He's gonna...
Going for the Unleash.
I respect this. Never trade. Always face, even into oblivion.
Just
oh, okay.
Oh, well, that doesn't really matter.
That doesn't matter at the end, but it's kind of funny.
It's a good way to go out.
Yep.
Zoro shaking his head, kind of smiling even a little bit. Sometimes you just gotta play out your cards.
And if only that was a reversing switch, things would have been a bit different.
Yep. Clockwork Gnome, you had one job, which was to get the 1 and 7 draw of the reversing switch. But yeah, Nias is gonna go ahead and tie up this series, so we are going to a Game 5 with the Hunter Mirror. And I believe Nias's Hunter had the double Arcane Golem. Kind of some, yeah,
but it also had High Man in it, so it was a little bit slower version than the one that Zoro is running with the multiple 1-drops and the explosive drops.
So this is actually my time to shine now. I say, yeah, Face Hunter versus slower Hunters. I usually give it to the Face Hunter.
Okay,
so
and why is that, Robert?
Because you do damage faster.
Oh, okay.
And in Nias' deck, we didn't see like a Houndmaster, which can be really problematic for the Face Hunter. I'm open to disagreement, though. Tell me what you guys think.
I agree with you. I think the faster the Hunter is, the better it does in the mirror match. Usually, just based on how the hero powers work and how poorly the slower Hunter can defend against the aggressive chargers. Right. Even those traps, you have the freezing traps, they're not so good against the small minions from the Hunter. Maybe Unleash the Hounds, one of the easiest ways to deal with the freezing trap, while explosive trap takes out a lot of stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Maz, what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. You just need to kill your opponent before they do you, right? It's a Hunter, racing.
Yeah.
If you're one turn ahead, then you win.
It's important to note, I only asked because I felt like you guys would agree with me. I didn't feel like I'd look silly.
No, you were pretty sure of yourself. Confidence.
Confidence. So we see Nias' opening hand. He does have that Savannah High Main. Obviously, that's not something you tend to see in the Face Hunter deck. Nope. In fact, it's usually the determining factor in differentiating the decks. Zoro's opening hand, though, not really what you want.
It's not at all what he wants.
Well, actually, Zoro kept the Abusive Sergeant just so he can play something. It's really hard for Hunters to deal 1 damage to 1 minion.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that when you're mulliganing as a Face Hunter and you're going first and you have the coin, you will often keep the Abusive Sergeant just to guarantee you have something to do.
Exactly.
Because mana utilization is so important as the Face Hunter.
Yeah, it's extremely important to have that one drop. He would have preferred to have any of the other 1-drops, but still, that Abusive is so much better than not playing.
And this Glazooka is going to punish the only one drop from Nias. He could have coined, you know, 2 things or the mad sciences, but with this play, he, you know, made Zoro have a 3-1 abusive sergeant stick around.
Yep, and that abusive is going to deal 6 damage.
All right, let's see. This animal companion could work out pretty poorly.
Misha would probably be the best one.
Oh.
Leok, not that good in this situation.
It's good obviously because it can trade and it has value because it'll stay on the board, but trading really doesn't matter all that much as we were talking about. It's all about just getting that damage in there.
There you go, all face.
Zoro's doing it right. He gets it.
The Zoro bow though, the Glazuka, it could be saved to kill the Leok later because you do want your face to trade for minions while your minions do the damage, right? That's how you get Tempo. Tempo doesn't really matter too much in this matchup, but you know, it still matters in the first 5 turns.
He could keep it. He doesn't have another weapon in his hand right now, but also attacking with it right now, in case he draws another one, can be beneficial.
I like that both Zoro and Daimeng have been running the Wolf Rider over the Argent Horse Rider. I think that's very interesting. I really want to ask both players their thoughts on that, because obviously Wolf Rider does 1 more point of damage, which is very important, but the Argent Horse Rider is super difficult to remove.
That's true.
For a lot of decks, so very interesting to catch up with them after and kind of get their opinions. For Nias, he's forced to clear. He's on the back foot, which is what you tend to see as a slower hunter.
That's right.
You can't really race at this point.
Yeah, Unleash the House would have been pretty good so that, you know, you can turn the board around, but now to turn the board around, he needs to take another 3 damage to the face. So that Wolf Rider effectively was a fireball that removes the durability from your opponent's weapon.
Wow. And the abusive also dealt so much damage. Even though it might look, for some of the newer players, you might look at there's a battle cry, buff a minion, why, I'm wasting that. But it doesn't really matter, it was still so much damage.
Yeah, we see Lepernon come down, and Zoro's hand, despite having the really hot early start, I mean, he has the quick shots in hand, which they do damage, but they don't really put anything on the board, and Zoro wants to force Nias to deal with the board at this point, because Nias is just not in a position to race at all.
Yeah, even so, that's going to the face because Freezing Trap is actually going to remove the damage from Lepernon, right? If you kill it, it still deals 2 damage, but if you freeze it, it's gone for a while.
Yeah, and suddenly this game's a little bit more complicated now for Zoro. Really has to measure out. I'm sure he understands, obviously based on playing Nias' deck already once, that this is Freezing Trap.
Oh yeah, he knows it's freezing.
He knows that Lepernon is coming back to hand, and then has to decide from there, does he Lepernon quick shot? What does he do? He's going to be giving Nias another charge on the Eagle Horn there.
Yeah, I don't think you attack with Lepernon at all. It's such a big deal to give that extra charge. Might as well do it later.
Yeah, and basically Nias only actually has 6 health right now because of the double quick shot in hand. So Zoro doesn't need to do too much more damage to get to where he wants to go.
I wonder if Nias can actually outrace his opponent by minion combat, you know.
I was looking at this, he has Leok on the board. Like, this is actually...
I feel like he has to try.
He has to just slam the Arcane Golem and go for it, right?
Yeah,
I would.
And then from there, do you Hero Power? Yeah, this is an interesting question now. So with the additional 2 mana, would you guys Mad Scientist, Haunted Creeper, or Hero Power?
The Mad Scientist does have a possibility of dealing 3 damage, and if the Leok dies, it still does 2 damage, right? So maybe the Mad Scientist is a little bit better?
I think you isolate the Scientist here and just kill off the Lepernon. Try to get that Scientist frozen, so in the end, like now using the Leok and the Lepernon.
This is great.
You really don't want to see that explosive trap, and he's going to go for it. Deals with that, and Zoro really looking for Unleash the Hounds from the top.
This is a great game 5. It just comes down now. They're both racing. Oh, Unleash the Hounds totally changes up the game. Wait, that isn't lethal.
That is 1 damage off lethal,
damage
actually.
off from lethal right now.
Thanks, Freezing Trap.
But he can get the explosion. No, but it's still 1 off, because then they misses some damage on the face.
Well, it doesn't matter, because Unleash the Hounds could proc the Freezing Trap, then the Mad Scientist could trade for the Arcane Golem, and then you can get an Explosive Trap, and that's 2 damage anyways.
It's not a problem being a little bit off anyway, because there's no way for Nias to kill him next turn.
So we're going to see Unleash the Hounds, as you brought up, Sviz, one of the best counters to Freezing Trap. Kind of like a pint-sized force of nature.
That's true.
Yeah. It actually really is. It's I mean, obviously it doesn't cap out at 3, but yeah. So
pretty good. Triggers the freezing here.
And it's important to note, in this interaction, you do actually just get a Hound in hand, a 3-mana 1/1 with charge, which obviously is not a good minion by any stretch of the imagination, but at this point, 1 damage is huge.
Yeah, and it's also a 3-mana Disarm Trap.
Yep. Oh, and he opts to Hero Power here. Holds on to the quick shot, so...
Yeah,
Nias is currently suffering the curse of being the slower hunter.
Is Lothar going to save him?
Not really, because then Zoro...
No, and that's it. Zoro is going to take the series 3-2.
Wow.
That ended up being a really close one, though, and really came down to that Unleash the Hounds.
Unleash the Hounds. I mean, Zoro could have used it earlier too, so it wasn't like, okay, he got super lucky because he could have joined earlier as well, but still joining it at the right moment. If it was one turn later, it would have been too late.
Yeah.
Right, we saw Haunted Creeper sitting in the hand of Nias in the end there. That's really a card that against the Face Hunter, you either need to have like on coin turn 1 or turn 2, or it just sits in your hand.
Yeah.